Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and tonight it's time for another collection stream. I haven't done one of these in quite a while, and since I am still having computer woes, waiting for my new computer to come in, having to do this all low tech and use my phone still, thought I would bring my phone, and yay, we're in horizontal mode tonight, it's actually working. I thought I would bring my phone over to this side of the bunker and go ahead and show off all of my Batman pops. Haven't done comics in a while. I need to get back to the comic collection, and of course there's tons of other collections that I want to do streams on, but I thought, why not? I thought of this on a whim to go ahead and finally do the Batman pops. And the way I'm going to handle this is I'm simply going to show you all 130 something of these and attempt to remember what they are. I have not looked up any of these again, and I take almost all of these out of package, save one, which I've talked about before, but I'll bring that up again. And I thought it would be kind of fun to go down memory lane with these, like I have been with all of my collections, and be kind of, of course, these are on display. I see them somewhat frequently, but I don't, go through them all. And so there will be sort of some surprises in that some of this I haven't looked at in a long time, and it might be fun just rack my brain trying to remember them. So once again, real laid back, not prepared at all, and maybe some of you guys will be able to help me remember what some of these are just based on costumes and designs and things. Funko as a company has a real Batman obsession. They've had the license going all the way back, and the very first Batman pop besides Freddy Funko was their first pop figure was a Batman figure. So each of these are numbered, and '01, the original pop figure, again, besides their mascot, was Batman. And I think that's a lot of the reason that they make so many of these. So Batman has got to be the singular character that they've made the most figures for. And I thought it would be fun back in 2016, so I've been doing this, 8 years now. I thought, going on 9, I thought it would be fun to attempt to collect all of just the Batmans. And of course, this will probably not be a collection I'm ever able to 100%, but it's one of the collections that I have that is most complete. And some of the more expensive, difficult to get figures I never thought I would get, I actually have managed to get my hands on now. And this is one of those things that actually am kind of okay with going down in value. I don't know if the pop bubble has officially burst yet. There are definitely some figures that are still way up there, especially when you get into Comic-Con exclusives and things like that. But stuff that when it first came out didn't look like it was going to be very rare, and then later on, for a multitude of reasons, and sometimes reasons that are difficult to completely understand and ascertain, they'll start being, whether you want to look at it as scalped real hard or just much more valuable than they used to be, really difficult to get your hands on. And some of those have started to drop in value for Batman and lots of other things. So my rule, I've got 3 rules with these figures. One, I always buy them in the wild, and I think I've only made 1 or 2 exceptions with that, of things that were like internet exclusive, things that I really wanted, and I couldn't even tell you now which of those they are, probably. But I don't keep up with these at all. I kind of let myself be surprised by what's out when I run into it in the wild, because I knew I would go. There's so many of them. I have a tendency to get kind of latch onto things and get too excited about a new collection, and just go hog wild with it right away and spend way too much money all at once, amassing a lot of things. And with the pop figures, I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to buy them in stores and at conventions and things like that. And so I'm much more proud of this collection than some others, because I've had to hunt them all down. And I've always looked for good deals. I have never paid more than 50 or 60 for one, and that's been on very rare occasion as well. The majority of these I have paid regular retail for, 12, $15, whatever it happens to be, because they vary a little bit. Some stores sell them for 12, some 15, 16. Sometimes you'll get, buy two get one deals and things like that. But anyway, welcome everybody. If you're watching right now, good to see you. There's Joe Edgehill, who I've not seen in a while. Good to see you, man. Hayden is here. Hi, Tyler. He says he's going to check this out later. No problem, man. Thanks for watching when you get around to it. Nan P90, when you buy a new one, how do you remember if you already have it? So yeah, since I take these all out of package, I devalue them immediately. Partly because of space, partly because I don't plan to ever sell these, and that's why I say I don't mind these going down in value, because then it's easier for me to get them. And like I said, I don't plan on ever getting rid of these. But that's a good question. I just have pictures, and when I find a new one that I'm not sure if I have, I just run through the shelf and make sure that I don't already have it. I have accidentally rebought them a couple of times when I, for whatever reason, just didn't have a photo on hand to look at. And before I was doing that, I would just, message or call home and have somebody run down here and check the shelf for me. So yeah, real kind of low-tech way of handling that. But anyway, so 3 rules, and then we'll get into the actual pops. And I'll just put them up here and show them to you as we go. Hopefully I can get through the whole collection tonight. I know I tend to be long-winded. I don't imagine that I'll have too much to say about each of these beyond just trying to remember what they are. And I'll point out some of my favorites. And you guys will be able to tell me what your favorites are too, because you'll be able to see them up close and personal, and it should be really easy to take a look at them. I'm actually glad we're doing it this way on the phone. Hopefully the connection's good and the audio's okay, but this setup should be pretty good for showing them to you. But anyway, so the 3 rules are: A, only buy them in the wild; B, they have to be either Batman or have bat ears and be in adjacent characters. So I technically should buy, and like Bruce Wayne is a gray area. Like I haven't bought the Gotham Bruce Wayne that of course is not in a costume and doesn't have bat ears. It would have been really funny though if they had done the costume for the last episode. Maybe someday they'll be really silly and do that when they run out of like everything else. But so I do buy Batgirls and Batwoman, and I do buy Batman's with a full suit, but not the cowl. So if it's Batman or it is a Batman adjacent character but has bat ears, I do that. So those are the big things there. And then I always do this. I said 3 rules. What is the third one? I only buy them in the wild. It has to be a Batman or a Batman adjacent character. And then I forget what the other thing is. I'll think of it as we go along. But anyway, like I said, I don't order these for the most part. Vince this year, and they should be over here. I'll show them to you. Got me a couple of internet exclusive ones that I wouldn't have even known about. So I'm really glad that he did that, because I might have run into them at some point at a convention or something, or at resale. I have gotten some things that way, certainly. Maybe the third thing I was thinking of is just I take them out of box, but I don't think that's what I was thinking of. Well, anyway, let me check the comments real quick before I start getting into these. Hi, Robert. Good to see you, man. Hayden Springs to know Robbins. Yeah, maybe that was the other thing, is just I only buy Batmans because it would just get out of hand. There's obviously so many Batman characters and variants on some of them. There's nothing like as many Jokers, but there are probably 30 or 40 at least Jokers, if not more. Robins, there's not a ton, but when you start getting into all of the villains and all of the other characters, it would just be too much. I wouldn't have the space for them, and it certainly wouldn't get expensive. And again, I don't think I'll ever 100% this anyway, so getting into that would just be absurd. Now, there are some exceptions. I'm not going to get into my other pops. I might talk about those when I get into other collections down the road, just other figures and things. But I have a few other Batman characters that were just cool pops I had to have. But it's sort of like Rewind, where there are certain movies or shows that I will do a review of just because I want to, but they don't technically count. You know, I don't have to do those. So I've got like a 60s Batman Riddler and the Batman Forever Riddler. Maybe I'll collect all the Riddlers because there aren't a ton of those. Okay, great. Which Robin would you get? If they've made a Red Robin figure, I would probably get that. And then my favorite is Tim Drake. And if they do one for Batman Forever, I would consider it because I have kicked around doing all the movie pops. Uh, I've got all the Batman so far, I think, save maybe one for 89. And I kind of want all of the pops that aren't Batman also for that, like the Vicky Vale, and I've got the Joker diorama because he was just too cool, and then I do have a giant Joker Batman pop. But anyway, thanks for the questions and comments, guys. Let's go ahead and start getting into this. So I have these displayed in no particular order, and that is how I will show them off. So the first one is Batman Beyond. Who looks great. Hopefully the lighting is okay here. Where do I want to put him? Maybe over here? Yeah, that looks good. So there's Batman Beyond. He looks great. One of the reasons I take these out of box, of course, is just you get to see them in all of their glory. They're cooler out of the box. And yeah, you could cheat, and a lot of people do this. Keep all the boxes, display the figures out of the box, and then put them back in the box later on, and technically you have it complete. It's pretty hard to tell if one of these has been taken out of the box if you're careful enough with it, but again, I don't really care that much about the value of them. Obviously, I'm careful with them. I want them to stay nice and look great. But if I were to sell all of these right now, I wouldn't be able to get more than $5 or $10 for most of them, because that's what you find them for at retail when you find them out of box. But I like the extra care that's taken with a lot of these, where they're not all, now some of them are just repaints, but a lot of them, some real care is taken in the sculpts and in the extra detail. There's kind of a challenge with these to make it worth getting so many of them, because it's one basic, very simple, cute design. And so what do you do to it to make it, first of all, stand out, and secondly, look like the version that it's supposed to be? So your Batman Beyond versus any other Batman. And I think color has a lot to do with it. And then just those, again, little details that pop. Like with this one, the real angry face, eyes are real key in just doing something to make it look expressive. I like the red in the front, that really pops. But anyway, I will try not to do full-blown reviews of all of these as we go. The next one is Hardak Batman. And there are actually two of these, and one of them it wasn't exclusive. Again, I don't have the boxes here, so I won't remember where each of these came from. I don't know if you'll care. It is kind of fun that some of these are from stores that no longer exist anymore. Some of them are from stores that don't do exclusives as much or at all anymore. Like Walgreens used to do a lot. I don't know if there really is into that anymore. Obviously, GameStop still does a lot. Hot Topic still does a lot. FYE and the associated chains, I think, do exclusive stuff. Target still does quite a bit. But anyway, so this is Hardak Batman from Batman the Animated Series. That character was in a couple of episodes, and so this is the kind of composited or not composited, but this is the half and half Batman, where part of his face has been ripped. And it might have been cool if they did a variant of this that was just the red eyes, but was still supposed to be Hardak. But the other one they did, let me see if I can find it quick enough here. Here it is. I'm going to have to kind of pop back and forth here. But the other one is the full head Hardak, which is really cool. And that is the harder to get one, or at least they didn't make as many. That one I think was exclusive. Maybe that was Hot Topic exclusive, I forget. And I think I paid a little bit more for that one because it was after it had come out. But I love both of these, and I don't know that between them I have a favorite. it's just really cool that they did them both. So there's Hard Batman. It's going to be kind of weird finding a place to safely put all of these as I go. Here is the Batman Who Laughs, obviously a relatively more recent one, although that might have been already in what, 17 or 18, as long as metal has been around. And I have all of, and we'll see them as we go. I won't remember the names of all of them, but I have all the metal ones where they have the evil, dark universe Batman, metal universe Batman characters that are based on other major Justice Leaguers, like the Aquaman one, the Flash one. There's a Doomsday one. I have all of that stuff. I've always loved the design for Batman Who Laughs. He got way too popular. People got sick of him very quickly, but he makes for a really fun pop figure, and I really appreciate his cape. And again, colors are key. I like how the red lipstick really pops with him. So already we're getting some Batmans that are not quite actually Batman. Here is, some of this is coming back to me. Here is Deceased Batman. He's looking real gnarly and zombified. I like the little trickle of blood he's got to one side. I'll try to show you the backs of each of these also. A lot of them are pretty stock, where you get the same cape or a real similar kind of cape. It might have been nice to get a somewhat shredded cape, although this might be based on a specific cover or panel or something where he doesn't have a shredded cape. I imagine it's probably more just there's a sculpt for this. We'll see if we see it, if we find this again as we go along, because that's the Rebirth suit, and it might be that there was already a sculpt for that, and then they just changed the head. But I'm not totally sure. Some people don't appreciate the novelty of these. I think that they're too gimmicky and cutesy, and it's a really easy kind of money milking scheme. There's a lot of artificial scarcity and collecting kind of gimmicks to get people to drive up the prices and get people to get into a what's the word I'm looking for? Just a mindset of maybe these things will be really valuable down the road. All of these things are true, but I like how small they are and how easy they are to put all together and display. I just think they look really nice all together. And I'll tell you a quick story. Part of the reason, well, and also I just like, especially these days, how many different random versions and variations of Batman are represented by them. There's not another line that has anything like this many. And Batman, as I've always said, super versatile character that you can do 100,000 different versions of, and it's all still Batman, or it certainly can all still be Batman. Sorry, the word I was looking for a minute ago was speculation, kind of creating this in artificial speculative market. That is true. It's irritating. I don't like that about the hobby. But the big reason that I initially got into these is Eagle Moss, which is no longer in business, although I think somebody bought them out and is now making things like they used to make. They used to do a mail order Batmobile collection. That I thought was really cool, but they were a little pricey, and you had to buy 2 a month. So it was a $40 a month commitment. And at the time, I was really interested in that, but I could tell they were going to take up too much space, and it was, again, a little bit pricey, I thought, for what it was. And I didn't know where in the world I would put them. And I ended up subscribing to an Eagle Moss thing, because they also had hardcovers for Star Trek. And I subscribed to that for maybe a year and a half, and then I ended up buying out a collection with a lot of those. And I don't have all of them. I have probably about a half. But anyway, I started kicking around doing this instead of the Batmobiles because I loved the idea of a big collection of small Batman things that I could display. And this seemed a little bit more reasonable, where I could pick it up when I wanted to, when I had the cash for it. I could skip months if I didn't find anything I wanted, or I didn't want to take out the cash to do it, and it would be easier to put them somewhere. So that's a lot of the reason that I got into this. Hayden Spring Metal was 17, wasn't it? Yes, Metal was 17, but I'm not sure if the metal figures started coming out that year or if it took a year or two for them to start putting them out. And that's why I said Batman Who Laughs might have been that year or it might have been the year after. Robert, I never would have guessed Funko would still be a thing over a decade later. It's even quite a bit longer than that now, too. Isn't that nuts? Lucky Bot. I remember back in the day when Funko only had a handful of figures, thinking they were another cutesy type of figure like Mighty Mugs. I had the same thing because Mighty Mugs didn't make it, and I was like, this is going to be just like that, and then it wasn't. And then a few years later, I and a lot of people just waiting to see when the bubble was going to burst. And it didn't. I think we're certainly closer to that now, and again, we are seeing prices fall, and that's a company that a lot of people have lost faith and appreciation in, given like the landfill incident and stuff like that. But anyway, let's start blowing through these, shall we? So here is Batman and Robin Batman. And like I said, I kind of want to collect all of the movie ones because they seem to put even a little more effort into these, I feel like, than some others. They seem to be really excited just to be able to do these, and they know there's going to be a lot of interest in them. So again, I really like the color scheme with him. I like that all of the details of the goofy, overly designed suit for that one is actually included. Look at the back of it. Like, I didn't even remember this being the back of the cowl looking like that with that suit. But yeah, famously, they designed toys first and then designed the movie suits and everything after that. And you can tell it's very obvious, but it's really fun to have the Clooney suit. And is this supposed to be the like anti-free suit from the end? I think that's what that is. I love that the goofy slots in the sides of the mask are there. And then here he is, sparkly gingerbread Batman. Part of the reason I love this line too is just because silly stuff like this happens, and it's very whimsical and kitschy, and yes, kind of cutesy. I also have a Powerpuff Girls tattoo. I guess I don't mind some cutesy stuff, and it's just the name of the game with this stuff. I love the color choice for the gingerbread. It looks very gingerbready, and anytime these things go to food, they make me actually hungry because they kind of look like the food that they're supposed to look like. I'm not the biggest fan of the sparkly thing. The glitter does get off on your hands. I've got some on my finger right now just picking this up. So I don't like to handle these too much. Certainly, these would be some of the ones to maybe keep in the box if you were going to do that. I've been uniform with it, and so I haven't. But there's Gingerbread Batman. And then we're going to start getting into some of the figures that I don't right off know exactly what they are. This is a multicolored Batman that I think is... I was going to say this might actually be something out of comics because there's a lot of like silly colored, like golden and silver age Batman things, but I don't think that's what this is. I think this was maybe from a line that just did this color palette for a bunch of stuff. Again, you can call it money milking. There's a lot of these kinds of schemes where they'll have like weird paint jobs that they'll do for several different characters, or they'll do like a art version where there's like pictures inside of the pop figure, just to come up with an excuse to put more of these things out. And I think this might be one of those. Even though it's got the rainbow scheme, it's not to be confused with the Pride Month Batman. That is one. I've got that back here too, and that was... I'm pretty sure that's this other one and not this one, and that was like stripes down it with rainbows, and they did that for a bunch of characters also. But I like this one. He kind of looks like a gummy candy. Again, these things are they're making me hungry. I want sugary things right now that I can't have. And then this was, I believe, a weird, yeah, I'm looking at the bat signal symbol right now. This was a weird variant for uh, Batman 89. And I don't know what possessed them to do this one. This is not a scheme that has ever existed for this costume. Again, it's like they're just looking for excuses to put out some weird exclusives and get you to, people like me that have to have them all are going to buy this, and they're banking on that kind of thing. Having said that, it looks pretty cool. I love the blue highlights, particularly on the cape. This is a cape that's got some cool little bits of damage in it here and there, which is neat. I don't know. It looks a little bit like in like a video game Batman, like NES or something, but that was purple. I wish they would do that with the pops. There is a NECA, and I have it, NES Batman, and I don't think they've done that in pop form. They ought to. But this reminds me a little bit of that, just with the weird highlights. But I don't think this really has anything to do with anything. Although I totally could have seen this being an action figure back in the day. I like to laugh about this all the time. And actually, the 89 line was one of the few things that did not have this problem. When you got, with the original just 3 figures, with Joker, Bob the Goon, and Batman, when you got your Batman, he looked like Batman. He didn't have any weird, like extra gimmick or silly color scheme. I mean, he did have a gimmick. He had a belt that came out with a rope, but there was nothing weird in the costume. This would be like they put out like a sonar Batman or a radar Batman or something, and what would always happen is you'd get a line where either you were stuck with the weird green or red or purple color or whatever it was, or they just didn't make a regular looking Batman, and they did that for lots of other characters also with different lines. Then we get to this like Christmas nighttime Batman. And I can't remember if this was supposed to be like Batman dressed up as Ebenezer Scrooge. I think that might be what this is supposed to be. But he's got these silly, cute like bat slippers that are fun, and again, just all the little cool details here. And I love all of the folds in the hat. Again, this stuff just a little bit of above and beyond. Bits they wouldn't have to do, but they did anyway. I like his expression there, where he's looking kind of tired. He's walking around with his candle. That's a really fun one. And these just goofy, off the beaten path, silly ones tend to be some of my favorites. Speaking of glitter, here is another sparkly Batman, and this looks like a variant on the basic 01 Batman. I should say, by the way, I don't think, it maybe goes without saying, I don't think I actually have the full-on original 01 Batman. It has been re-released, and I'm not sure if it's as a different number, or if it's just real clear, like from the date on it, or if you had the box, you'd know for sure. But like this one here. But anyway, like this is that sculpt, I'm pretty sure. I think the cape is the same. It's just the basic like wide-eye expression these used to have until some of them started changing that. So it looks a little bit like an 89 Batman or like a late 80s, early 90s comic Batman, but it is, and like that's kind of more what it is. But it would have been easy to kind of pass this off as 89 before they finally made 89 figures, but it is not that. But anyway, this is just kind of the sparkly, glittery version of that. This is that figure, or at least what it looks like, but I'm pretty sure this is a reissue of it. I don't think that's actually the original 01 Batman, because I think those being the originals, I would command quite a bit of money now, and if I did get my hands on one, I probably wouldn't take it out of the box. So unless I was collecting these early enough that wasn't insanely expensive yet, but I'm pretty sure it was, because I think even when I started, Zur-En-Arrh was already, and that's one of the most expensive one of the most valuable of them. That one, I think, was already like cost prohibitive at that point. Since we're there, I'll just go ahead and show that one off. So I talked about this recently when I did my 2024 walkthrough of the bunker, but I do in fact have that figure, and it has dropped in price some now. It's still more than I would usually spend, but this was given to me by a friend of mine who's been on the channel before, and once again I'll credit him, Kareem, and he came to visit last year, and he's playing a part in my movie, and he brought me this as a gift, which shocked me, and I couldn't believe it. And once again, thanks, Kareem. He's a wonderful friend. I love that guy, and no idea what he spent on it. I certainly wasn't going to ask him, but these have dropped. The lowest price I've seen these on eBay now is 150, which is still, up there for this kind of thing, but it used to be between $300 and $400, and maybe even at one point it was higher than that. I forget. So anyway, this one I have kept in the box, and if I did ever take it out of the box, I would still at least hang on to the box, partly just because it is the most valuable of mine, probably. It will, no, definitely. Because I don't have any really weird Comic-Con exclusives or anything like that. And I have run into a couple that I would not have bought because they were just way too high. There's a Conan O'Brien one that I found at a comic shop at one point that I think they were asking $200 or $300 for. Some of this stuff is pretty crazy. But anyway, and then the other reason I didn't want to take it out of the box is just it was gifted by a friend, and I want to keep it the way he gave it to me, because it can't have been cheap. Anyway, maybe he got really lucky. I don't know, and I don't want to know. But thanks, Kareem. Okay, and then this is one of my favorites. I just really like the variation of the purples. Here is, and you guys know how much I love purple. I love purple. This is the Batgirl, the Yvonne Craig Batgirl from the 60s Batman series. And as you guys know, I'm a huge 60s Batman fan, so I get really excited anytime there's a pop figure for that stuff. And she's got her classic costume, and she looks great, and she's got her red hair. And some of you guys may not be aware that Barbara Gordon was invented for that show. So even if you don't love 60s Batman, if you're a Batgirl or an Oracle fan, you have that show to thank for the existence of that character. And then we get into BVS stuff. So here is, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be Nightmare Batman from BVS. I like that he's got his 5 o'clock shadow. That's really funny. He's got his cool coat. He's got his stupid goggles. And then this is either BVS Batman or Batman from Justice League. I'm really not sure which. Now, it might be that for Justice League, they only did the one with the goggles. Those goggles are more stupid, that he's got in his Batplane. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure that's how that went. So this should be the one from BVS. And I actually think this might have come in a 2-pack with a Superman. I can't remember. There's definitely one of these that was also in a 2-pack with a Superman, but I can't remember if this is one of those. But anyway, there is BVS Batman. I have most of the movie ones. I am missing either is it the Dark Knight or the Dark Knight Rises? I guess they would kind of look the same, but I'm not sure which of it technically it is. I'm missing one of those. But moving right along, here is and then I'll check comments here in a second. Once again, thank you guys for hanging out. We're about half an hour in. We're not doing too bad. We're starting to blow through these. Here is a gamer Batman. Again, I love these silly ones. He's playing a video game. He's talking smack to somebody online. I wonder who he's playing with. We're going to say Huntress. We're going to say Batman is talking smack to Huntress while he's playing online. This, if memory serves, was a GameStop exclusive. And I think this came in a mystery box where you either got a Batman or a Joker, and each of them was on a headset like this. And I have the Joker also because I took my 50-50 shot and I failed the first time around. And I think the Joker I just gave to my kids to play with. They've got their own pops, and I think I let them have that one. And I think it also came with a keychain. And so I didn't buy it again because I didn't want to deal with maybe getting a duplicate. So I found this in the wild at some point, I think already out of box. Pretty sure that's how I got it. So luckily I did finally wind up with one. So far I'm remembering a lot of these. This one is, if memory serves, from the DC Bombshell series. And so most of those pops are going to be the gorgeous women of DC to look like 50s era pinups. And I've got the Batwoman from that line also, but that was a comic series that had obviously male characters as well. So here was the Batman from that, and so he looks like kind of an adventurer type hero. I like his hat. That's pretty cool. He is a Bruce Wayne and has a. Sorry, we are in a basement, and I have not dusted these in a while, so there's a little bit in the way of dust and cobwebs and things. So I'm trying to take care of that as we go. But anyway, he's got a bat symbol, and he's got a uh, he's got his Gatling gun, and so he is, of course, definitely a Batman. Um, Always do these late at night, and then I can't think of words. Not Gatling gun. What is that? He's got his. He's gonna shoot it and climb up buildings. Okay. This is, and I just happened to grab this right after that. But this is the Bombshell Batwoman, and she is fun because she is kind of a double entendre Batwoman because she also has a baseball bat. She's got her bat, her baseball outfit, and her bat ears are on a baseball cap. So I mean, you can't give the pop figure too much credit for the design with all of that, but I like the way they ran with it. I like her flowing hair. It looks like it's in the wind. I like all of the ripples and curls there. It looks great. I should say curls, but it's all out of place. And she's wonderful. I don't know. She'd probably be in my top 15 or 20 at least. I like that one a lot. It would be fun to kind of rank these, I guess. Let me see what folks are saying in the comments before we continue, because I said I was going to do that, and then I didn't. Robert says he has that Scrooge Batman. So it is Scrooge. I couldn't remember if it was specifically supposed to be that. Lucky Bot, my big beef with Funko is how much they flood certain specialty shops. Yeah, fair. Seeing dealer rooms at cons being majority Funko is kind of not fun if you're not into them. Yeah, that's totally fair. And even though I obviously am a big Funko collector, I'm very specific. So I'll go through those and eyeball them real quick and not see any Batmans and just move on. And there are a lot of stores that when they get Batmans, they go very quickly because I'm not the only person that collects them. And I might be one of the only people that does it exactly the way I do it. Like I'm sure a lot of other collectors also get some of the villains in things, but this is their most popular character. But yeah, I have that also. Like, there are definitely too many of them. They have them for nearly every property you can think of, and there are a lot of shops that have whole areas for just that. But not like it used to be for a lot of places. A lot of places have really downsized that, which even though I like this stuff, I think is a good thing. Certainly. Robert, have you bought the new Batman 66 2-pack with Batman and Joker yet? I didn't because I didn't see any difference between the 66 Batman in that pack and the one I have. I think it might be the exact same sculpt. I need to look at it closer and see if he's in a little bit of a different position or something. Because annoyingly, if his arm is raised 2 centimeters higher, I have to add it to the collection, I guess. It would not be a priority though. There are a couple other figures that are out there right now that I've been seeing everywhere that are cheap and nobody cares, and so I just haven't prioritized them because it'll be easy to grab them, and because they're not characters that I'm super excited about. So occasionally that will happen. Like there's a Batwing right now. It looks fine. Like I'm not the biggest fan of that character. I'll grab one at some point. I've had to buy so many of them this last year that I keep seeing that at every store that I've just been waiting on it. I'll probably go ahead and finally grab that pretty soon. And the Signal is also that way. Duke Thomas, just a character I don't care about, but he's got bat ears, so I got to buy him. Writer, my reason for not even buying one Funko Pop is the moment you buy one, you're agreeing to never stop buying them. So I want to say that is not necessarily the case if you don't have a crazy plan like mine, but that does seem to be the case for most people. And maybe I would be that way too if I just, like you said, bought one I really liked and then I go, "Ooh, that one's cool too." They are relatively inexpensive compared to other things, especially action figures. I like, you know, I toys have just gotten more expensive in general. So if I looked at the future when I was a kid and you told me 12 to 15 bucks a figure was cheap, I'd be like, "Oh, that's weird. Like that seems kind of high for how small these are and what they are." But then you look at like Imagine Next figures, these really tiny toys that have not a lot in the way of articulation that are just for children to play with, and they're like 6, 8 bucks a piece if you just buy one, and they're not even 3 inches. So these are relatively inexpensive, and so yeah, if you get one and you got a cool place to display it, it is easy to be like, "Oh well, there's another one I really like. I've got 15 bucks in my pocket right now." So yeah, you're definitely right about that. Robert, I'm more selective with which ones I buy. I have like 20 or 25 total, and that's after years of collecting. Yeah, well, you have more restraint than certainly some of us do. Let me continue on with this, shall we? So this is a white Batman with a target on his chest and also on his cape, and this is another of those really silly variants from another universe. I think is he on this shirt? I don't think he's on this shirt. I wore this specifically because it's very representative of the wild assortment of Batman pops, many of them coming from silly Golden and Silver Age comics. I don't know what this guy is called, but that is definitely a thing I have seen on a cover of an old Batman comic. I will be saying that a few times. Here's another weird variant of an '89 Batman, and I don't think this one came out this last year. I think this is earlier. So for the anniversary this last year, there were a ton of '89 Batman pops, but this one I think came out earlier. This one is, and I like him. He looks cool. I don't know what the point was of this, but he is in this weird bronze color with these kind of blue highlights, and he looks almost dry brushed all the way through. Looks like almost something I would do as a paint job. I'm kind of dry brush obsessed. But anyway, so there's another exclusive to probably some novelty shop. Robert says he's got 9 Batman Funko Pops, he thinks, including the mini ones. Yeah, I draw the line at the different sizes for the most part. So when I go for close to completion, it's for the regular size. So I don't buy the minis. I do have, like I said, a couple of the very large ones, and then there's that massive, like, what is it? Is it 2 or 3 feet tall? Batmans, and I think there are 2 or 3 of them now. I've not gotten into those yet, and I don't know if I'm going to, just because space and stuff, and they're kind of expensive. They're $100. I think a lot of them, or I say a lot of them, I've seen at least the original for as low as 60 out of the box. And I'll probably do it that way because I take these out of the box anyway, if I get that. But I know they did the regular '01 looking one, and then they did a '60s Batman one, and I have heard there's a third one. I don't know what that looks like. Okay, I think the only mistake I really made here was doing this from the floor. This is just going to be great on my back. But yeah, let's keep rolling, shall we? So then we get into. I'm just going to show as many of these at once as I can. Some of you guys might remember the names of all of these guys. Like I said, I don't right away, but we have all of the Dark Universe or the Metal Universe versions of Batman that are also based on other Justice League characters. So I think some of them were called like the something bringer. I forget what this one is, but this one is of course based on Aquaman. By the way, I haven't talked about this, but there's a challenge with standing some of these up. So when they're flat-footed, like a regular pop, like the '01 Batman, they stand very nicely on their own. Some of them have smaller, more kind of narrow feet that require a peg. So there's a hole in one foot, and you put the stand underneath that, and then they stand. And we'll get to some like that, I'm sure. And then you have a third version of that, which is this, where it has a stand that is never meant to come off, because, to be fair, these really are meant more to be displayed than played with, even though my kids have some and play with them, and I'm sure I'm not the only parent that does that. But this one has a stand that is just glued in the first place that doesn't come off. Actually, I really like the look of this one. I like the dynamic pose. I don't love metal. It's okay. I've never finished it. And I've never read Death Metal. I guess that's how much I care about those. The premise was fun. The first couple issues were good. I could not get super into it. So I don't really care a ton about these characters and the goofy gimmick with that. But they made them, and I bought them. Well, I thought this one was one of those for a minute, but I guess it's not. This is a Vampire Batman. Pardon me. It's a little cold down here. And by the way, we're in the middle of a crazy snowpocalypse, so hopefully we don't have any power outages or anything while I'm finishing this. I am kind of expecting at some point this weekend to lose power. It is iced all over here. People are not supposed to leave their houses if they can help it right now, because it's like a inch or better of ice on the roads. You can't drive on it. It's probably not a whole inch, but it's bad at the very least. And we're supposed to possibly get upwards of like 15 or 20 inches of snow. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I mean, it seems pretty bad. And there was like a 200 car pileup on the highway somewhere around Joplin, Missouri, which is just a couple hours from here. So suffice it to say, stuff is nuts weather-wise right now. And that will really date this, but I don't know why I brought that up. Anyway, moving right along. So more of these. Okay, so this is, God, I cannot remember his name. Is it Speed Demon or something? I can't remember. But this is the Flash Metal guy, and I don't know where his stand is right now. He must have one. Because he just topples over. So I can't even display this guy right now because I need to get a stand for him. That has gone missing. And then this is another one of those. And I'm sure I'll run into the rest of those as we go. Where's the Doomsday one? Oh, here he is. This is the heaviest one. And I actually have, look how tall he is. I actually have a Doomsday Pop, just because I'm such a big Death of Superman guy. And I think this one is even heavier than that. This is a really cool figure. As silly of a design as this is, I like how jagged and gnarly he looks. One thing that's irritating about these, you see this big, and I put this in the thumbnail. You see this big shelf I have over here for these pops. They don't all fit on it, like height-wise. I think at this point, I have enough of them that I wouldn't be able to fit them all on here anyway. I have another one of these custom wooden shelves, which are not custom for Pops. They were originally made for Hot Wheels cars, and they fit these well enough that my dad got them at his flea market and offered them to me. I used the other one for Power Rangers figures for the board game that I paint. But at some point, I might come up with another solution for those so that I can use both of these for Pops. Because at some point, I'm gonna stretch far enough. I might need it. But anyway, what I was gonna say is I actually have to put several of these. I had to bring some of these over on the other side of the bunker in shelves that are taller because they're not all the same size. Some of them get too tall, and that's a lot of these behind me that I'm showing you right now. This is another of these new '89 Pops, and one of my favorites. That is the Batman with his cape unfurled when he fights the thugs, or the thieves on the street, I should say, at the beginning of the movie. With all the wind blowing the newspapers and everything on the roof. And this is another one of those that requires a fixed stand, which makes sense. Hi, Jareth. Good to see you, man. Robert, I really don't like those stands stuck to the back. They break very easily. I haven't had that problem yet. Thankfully, more recent Funkos have come with more basic stands for their feet. Yeah, but I've actually seen these more myself lately with newer ones. Like this guy's just this year, and the bases that go to the bottom of the feet I've seen for several years now. So this one is real recent, and I need somebody in the comments to tell me what this is because I have no idea. It looks like an Elseworlds thing, but the box didn't even say. It just called it Batman. And usually, it'll tell you, like, this is Zur-En-Arrh Batman. This just said Batman, but it's a very bizarre suit. Look at this. I love the pose, by the way. He's posing very theatrically with his cape over one arm, and his expression is cool. But check it out. He looks like his mask is very Batman Beyond, where it covers the mouth, and he looks like he's maybe supposed to be sort of futuristic. And again, I'm guessing because I guess it could be just something totally original, but that would be very strange and unusual for Funko. Outside of the weird, goofy things like the gingerbread men and stuff like that. But this looks like it could be, like I said, some kind of alternate universe or, Elseworlds thing. Okay, this is, I think, like a steampunk Batman. Although there might even be a different steampunk Batman that is just called that. I can't remember. This might be a specific Elseworlds Batman that I'm not remembering the name of right away. But it's in the vein of a steampunk thing, certainly. He looks cool with his goggles. Not all goggles or eyewear are equal, because there are dumb ones. Okay, and then like Justice League. Okay, here is another of the recent '89 Batmans, and again with some cool damage on both the cape and the mask. Even the eyebrow has some damage on it, which is neat. But this is Batman at the end of the movie when he is fighting the Joker, and he's got some blood on his mouth. And it's super cool that they made that. You guys know how much I love '89. I'm about to do a ridiculous project with that, where I'm going to do a ton of commentaries on that movie and do various fun gimmicks with it. And I love collecting for it as well. So I'm really glad we finally have this much in the way of Michael Keaton Batman. I'll go ahead and show this while we're there. I have all of these dioramas as well. So this is from that same scene. This came out before that. This is at least 3 or 4 years old now. But this is the you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses moment where the Joker is being punched by Batman and careening over the side, and you see how how Batman here has blood on his face, just like with that other pop. That's one of my favorites. And I think there is a Joker with glasses like this also on his own now from the new set. And I'm not going to feel the need to get that since I don't go for completion with the Joker. So I guess just a lot of these movie ones don't fit on the shelf over here, which is why I'm hitting so much 89 right now. But here is a basic 89 figure with his Batarang. I want to say that's the first one that came out, and that's before this anniversary stuff from this last year. Again, I may not be remembering that right, but I'm pretty sure this predates all of that. He's got that great stern, big eyebrow expression from Keaton, and the colors are all right. I don't mean all right, I mean correct. And I really like the bronze on the belt. There are so many of these, and we are about to hit an hour. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to go ahead and do all. I do this with a lot of these collecting videos. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to hit all of these tonight or if I'm going to break these up and do a part two. Not sure yet, but we are not even halfway there. This is Arkham Batman, and I want to say this is specifically Night. I think there might be an Arkham Asylum and/or Arkham City, and I maybe don't have them. That is a thing I would have to look into because I'm actually not sure, but I'm pretty sure that one was from Night. And there is an Arkham Knight who I don't have, I don't think. And I'm pretty sure that character has ears, so I probably technically do need to get that. But I don't have it right now. Okay, this one's new. This one just came out this last year, and I got maybe a month or two ago, and I love him. He's one of my favorites now. I'm trying to remember if I got this in the wild or if this is one of the two that Vince gave me. I'm pretty sure I found this one. But this is, or is, I can't remember. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look at the picture when I took it, and then I'll know which ones Vince gave me. But anyway, this is, so not to be confused with Nightmare Batman from BVS. I think this might have also been called or is talked about as being Nightmare Batman, but this is Batman from Batman Begins when Crane is on fear toxin and sees him with the sludge coming out of his mouth. And we are in this period now where we will get Batman pops for things that were on screen for like 10 seconds in a movie. But it's just wonderful. And he's one of my favorites. I love what the sludge looks like coming out of his eyes. It's great. And I guess he's got mist coming around him because of the fear toxin, maybe. But yeah, he looks great. He's wonderful. That's one of my favorites. Jareth, there is an Arkham Asylum one. I thought so. I know because I have the Hot Topic one that's Detective Vision. Oh, there's a Detective Vision one. See, even with all of this, there's cool stuff I'm missing. And I want to find that. But like I said, my rule is I got to get them in the wild. And so, I don't know if I ever will. Robert, I didn't know you had the Nightmare Batman from Begins. That's awesome. Yeah, isn't that cool? It's very neat. Okay, I'm going to show off a couple more of these, and then I'm thinking about pausing this and coming back for a part two. Maybe in just a day or two, though. I might try to. What am I doing tomorrow night? I might try to knock that out tomorrow night. I should mention real quick, we're going to be back hopefully to kind of a regular schedule next week. Like I said, I'm still waiting for my new production machine to come in, and we've got this crazy snowpocalypse now, so I don't actually know if I'm going to get it when I'm supposed to. It's supposed to come tomorrow. And so it's going to be difficult to do remotes until I get that up and going. So I'm supposed to review Sonic 3 on Monday with Jason and Connor. Hopefully that still happens. And then if I get up and running to normal we'll get to Captain Logan show on Thursday, on Wednesday, and then the request and rewind and all of that. Let's do a couple more. This is another now Robert. This one is older. This is another of those like fixed stand ones, but it makes sense because this guy is tiny and should be floating. I think I like it most for characters that should be like jumping or flying in some way. So I mean, there might be some Supermans like this that would make sense, but here is Batmite. He's on one of these stands. I like his goofy shoes, and he's got a very classic Batmite pose. He looks great. I can't remember when I got him. I feel like I've had this one for quite a while. And then I think last one for tonight, although I don't actually right off know what this is, I think this one is kind of recent. I'm not sure. This might have been another GameStop exclusive. Now, I don't like GameStop, but I end up having to go there because they have exclusive Batman pops. This is another one that's on one of these fixed stands. I guess I don't mind these so much just because they're always on display. But I'm actually kind of surprised as we're going through this just how many of them there are. But yeah, he's got a classic outfit. It's obviously not the, early Golden Age suit with the purple gloves. There is one of those, but it does look like it's trying to kind of throw back to an earlier Batman. It's got these weird kind of gauntlets and belt with like a hole in the middle of the belt. So yeah, I'm not sure what this is from. It's probably a very specific suit from a comic thing that I'm just not aware of. Especially if it's more recent, because I just don't keep up with current anymore. And DC publishes so much Batman, there would be no keeping up with it, even if I did, probably. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me tonight. I'll do a second part of this. Possibly tomorrow, if not in, maybe a week. But thanks a lot for coming and hanging out. Robert says the Batmite one is great. It is. He's great. Jareth, do you have the Batman Gamer? I do. I actually showed that one earlier, and I'll pull it back out. If this is the one you're talking about, then yes, I do. But thanks, guys. Appreciate you for hanging out with me, and thanks for watching this after the fact if you did that. And I will come back for a part 2 as soon as I'm able. I guess I got to keep all these grouped together so that we don't go back over things we've talked about already. But I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for indulging me in my rambling, and I will see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan, and everybody be safe, especially if you've got any of this crazy weather like I'm having right now. I hope you've had a good beginning of your new year, and I hope everybody had a great Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrated. And I'll see you real soon. Bye, everybody. Don't mind my hand with the phone. No, man. With the phone, it just takes a minute. Bye. Bye, folks.